Former special counsel Jack Smith, who indicted Trump twice, wants the public to hear his story. Today, Smith's lawyers requesting he testify in open hearings, citing the, quote, many mischaracterizations of Smith's criminal probes into Trump. Smith's team also requesting assurance from the DOJ that he will not be punished for answering questions under oath. During his time as special counsel, Jack Smith only made public appearances when necessary. Now the famously tight-lipped Smith is speaking up. And he is in a rare interview right here at MSNBC with Andrew Weissman talking about his experience.
Once we get in a position where we start talking about maybe not following court opinions we don't like, we are lost. The attacks on public servants, it has a cost for our country that is incalculable. Apolitical people who wanted to do the right thing and do public service. Everybody who worked on my team was fired. The idea that politics played a role in who worked on that case or who got chosen is ludicrous.
Okay, so this just happened. And it's absolutely wild. Donald Trump has found himself in the middle of a massive viral scandal after what happened at an Oval Office ceremony on November 10th, 2025. We're talking about a moment that was captured on camera and has now exploded across social media with millions of views and non-stop controversy. During what was supposed to be a routine swearing-in ceremony for Sergio Gore as U.S. ambassador to India, Trump made a highly personal gesture toward Erica Kirk, the widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated back in September, and the internet lost its mind. Multiple sources confirmed that Trump publicly hugged and kissed Erica Kirk in front of a packed room of officials, family members, and cameras. And the moment was so striking, so unexpected, so awkward, that it immediately sparked trending hashtags, viral clips, and widespread allegations of impropriety. We're talking about Fox News coverage, Facebook videos, YouTube reaction compilations, all dissecting this one moment frame by frame. People are calling it inappropriate, bizarre, disrespectful. Some are turning it into memes. Others are genuinely outraged. And Trump is once again at the center of a media firestorm that has absolutely nothing to do with policy and everything to do with his personal behavior. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
The FBI has fired 3 special agents linked to the Jack Smith probe of U.S. President Donald Trump. At least 2 of the agents were dismissed, according to reports. These agents were previously named in Senator Chuck Grassley's documents on the Arctic Frost investigation. Arctic Frost was the precursor to Smith's probe, which led to 2 federal criminal cases against Trump. One case involved Trump's handling of classified documents, the other his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Trump's actions contributed to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, according to Smith's report. One fired agent, a combat veteran nearing retirement, was called back to the office to be dismissed, and the other dismissed agent was also called back after leaving the office, as per reports. FBI Director Kash Patel told Fox News that agents involved in subpoenaing phone toll records of Congress were fired. Patel claimed that he shut down the CR-15 Public Corruption Squad, citing weaponization at the Washington field office. The firings followed disclosures that the FBI obtained toll records of 8 U.S. senators in 2023.
Now let me give you some context here because you need to understand who Erica Kirk is and why this moment is so loaded. Charlie Kirk was a major figure in conservative politics, founder of Turning Point USA, a massive influence on young conservatives, Trump's ally, and in September 2025, he was assassinated. It shocked the conservative movement, it devastated his family, and it left his widow, Erica, to pick up the pieces. She was just appointed CEO of Turning Point USA, taking over her late husband's organization. She's trying to honor his legacy. She's raising their children. She's grieving, and she's trying to navigate this incredibly difficult public role. So when she showed up at the Oval Office on November 10th for Sergio Gore's swearing in, it was already an emotional moment. Gore was a friend of Charlie's. The ceremony was honoring that connection. And Erica gave a brief, faith-centered speech where she said, "Charlie loved you," speaking to both Gore and to Trump's role in her husband's activist network. It was supposed to be dignified, respectful, a moment to honor a fallen leader. But then Trump's gesture turned it into something else entirely. According to the Fox News clips and Facebook videos that have gone viral, Trump didn't just shake Erica's hand or offer condolences. He hugged her, kissed her, in a way that multiple witnesses described as making people uncomfortable. You can see it in the footage. The moment happens. There's this visible reaction from people in the room. Some look away, some shift uncomfortably, and the internet immediately picked up on it. Social media exploded. Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, everyone was talking about it. Conservative commentators were divided. Some were defending Trump, saying it was just a compassionate gesture to a grieving widow. Others were calling it inappropriate and bizarre. Opposition figures were having a field day and saying this is classic Trump, unable to read the room, making everything about himself. And the clips just kept spreading millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments. This became the Oval Office disaster of the year, according to multiple trending topics. And here's what makes this so problematic for Trump. This isn't the first time his personal behavior at official events has raised eyebrows. He's had a long history of moments that critics call inappropriate, of not understanding boundaries, of making gestures that might seem normal to him, but come across as weird or disrespectful to everyone else. And each time it happens, it reinforces a narrative about Trump that he can't seem to shake, that he lacks the decorum expected of a president, that he doesn't understand or doesn't care about how his actions are perceived, that he operates by his own rules, regardless of social norms or political propriety. And for his opponents, this is ammunition. For the media, this is content gold. For late-night comedians, this is a gift. And for Trump's allies, this is yet another headache they have to defend or explain away. The timing couldn't be worse either, because Trump is already dealing with multiple legal scandals, multiple investigations, mounting pressure from Congress, and now, right when he needs to be projecting strength and stability, he's caught up in a viral controversy about hugging and kissing a widow in the Oval Office. It's the kind of story that dominates news cycles. That gets more attention than policy debates or legislative fights. That becomes what people remember, and it's the kind of story that can hurt politically, because it's not about ideology or partisanship. It's about basic judgment, basic decorum, basic understanding of how to behave in sensitive situations. And Trump, yet again, seems to have failed that test in the eyes of millions of people watching online. So why does this matter? Why should you care about what happened in the Oval Office with Trump and Erica Kirk? Because it's another example of Trump's inability to avoid controversy, another moment that will be used against him, another viral clip that shapes public perception, and another distraction from whatever agenda he's trying to push. This story is spreading fast. The clips are everywhere. The commentary is nonstop. And we're going to break down exactly what happened, what people are saying about it, and what it means for Trump's already embattled presidency. Because trust me, this scandal isn't going away anytime soon. Let's dive in. All right, let's get into the details of what actually happened at this Oval Office ceremony. Because when you understand the full context, the who, what, when, where, and why, you start to see why this moment became such a huge controversy. So November 10th, 2025, the White House holds a swearing-in ceremony for Sergio Gore as the new U.S. ambassador to India. Gore is a Trump ally. He's worked in conservative politics for years, and he had close ties to Charlie Kirk and the Turning Point USA movement. So when it came time for his swearing in, it made sense to honor that connection, to acknowledge Charlie's legacy, and to have Erica Kirk present to speak about her late husband's relationship with Gore and with Trump. This was supposed to be a celebratory moment, a diplomatic appointment, a routine Washington ceremony, but it turned into something very different. According to the footage that's been circulating, and we're talking about multiple angles from Fox News, from White House pool cameras, from attendees who were recording, the ceremony itself went normally at first. Gore was sworn in. There were congratulations. There were brief speeches. And then Erica Kirk was invited to say a few words. She stepped forward. She was visibly emotional, and she gave a short speech honoring her late husband. She talked about how Charlie loved Sergio Gore, how he believed in the mission, how he would have been proud of this moment. And she addressed Trump directly, thanking him for his role in the conservative movement and for his support of Charlie's work. It was heartfelt, it was genuine, and everyone in the room seemed moved by it. This is where things should have ended gracefully, a handshake, a thank you, maybe a brief hug, and then move on to the next part of the ceremony. But that's not what happened. According to multiple witnesses and based on the video evidence, Trump approached Erica, and instead of a simple handshake or a brief hug, he embraced her fully, held the hug longer than what most people would consider appropriate, and then kissed her. Now, different sources describe the kiss differently. Some say it was on the cheek. Some say it was closer to her face in a way that looked awkward. But regardless of the exact nature of the kiss, what's clear from the footage is that it made people uncomfortable. You can see it in the reactions of people standing nearby. There's this moment where you see officials shifting, looking at each other. Some people's faces show visible surprise or discomfort. And one person who particularly caught people's attention on social media, Vice President J.D. Vance, was standing in the background, and his expression in that moment has become its own meme. People are analyzing his face, saying he looks uncomfortable, saying he's trying to pretend he didn't see what just happened. The whole thing has been dissected frame by frame online. Now, Trump's defenders will say this is being blown out of proportion, that he was just being compassionate to a grieving widow, that he was showing empathy in a difficult moment, that the hug and kiss were meant as comfort, nothing more. And maybe that's true. Maybe Trump's intentions were pure. But here's the problem. Intentions don't matter if the perception is negative. And the perception here, based on millions of reactions online, is that this was inappropriate, that it crossed a line. That even if Trump meant well, he failed to read the room and understand how his gesture would be viewed by others. And that's a pattern with Trump. He operates on instinct. He doesn't always think about optics. He doesn't always consider how his actions will be interpreted. And time again, when that gets him into trouble, too. The social media reaction has been absolutely explosive. Within hours of the ceremony, clips were trending on Twitter. YouTube reaction videos were getting hundreds of thousands of views. Reddit threads were dissecting every angle. And the commentary ranged from comedic mocking to genuine outrage. Some people were making jokes about Trump being unable to help himself, about him always having to be the center of attention, about him not understanding boundaries. Others were more serious, saying this showed disrespect to Erica Kirk, to Charlie Kirk's memory, to the office of the presidency. Conservative commentators were divided. Some defended Trump vigorously, said the left was trying to make something out of nothing, said this was just another example of Trump showing he cares about people. But other conservatives, even some who generally support Trump, were saying this was a bad look, that it was unnecessary, that Trump should have shown better judgment. And then there's the Erica Kirk angle, because she's at the center of this, and she didn't ask for any of it. She just lost her husband. She's trying to lead his organization. She's trying to honor his legacy while also grieving and taking care of her family. And now she's caught up in this viral scandal through no fault of her own. According to some reports, Erica has tried to address the controversy. She said that people should focus on Charlie's work and legacy rather than dissecting moments like this. She's tried to downplay the significance of Trump's gesture, but the internet doesn't care. The clips keep spreading, the commentary keeps flowing, and Erica finds herself in this impossible position where she's being discussed and analyzed and memed, all while trying to mourn her husband and move forward with her life. Let's also talk about the broader pattern here, because this isn't Trump's first controversial moment with women. He's had a long history of allegations and accusations related to inappropriate behavior. And while this Oval Office moment doesn't rise to the level of those more serious allegations, it does fit into a pattern that his critics have been pointing to for years. The pattern of Trump not understanding or not respecting personal boundaries, of making women uncomfortable, of behaving in ways that might seem normal to him but come across as inappropriate to others. And every time something like this happens, even if it's relatively minor, it reinforces that pattern in people's minds. It confirms what Trump's opponents already believe about him. And it makes it harder for his defenders to dismiss the more serious allegations that have been made against him over the years. There's also the political calculation here, because Trump is facing serious problems right now. Legal troubles, congressional investigations, approval ratings that are underwater with everyone except his base. He needs to be projecting competence, stability, presidential bearing. Instead, he's generating viral scandals about awkward interactions in the Oval Office. And that's a problem, because these kinds of stories, even if they seem trivial compared to the legal and political battles he's fighting, they shape public perception. They dominate news cycles. They become what people associate with his presidency. And they make it harder for him to change the narrative or build support beyond his core base. The reaction from within the GOP has been telling. Publicly, most Republican officials haven't said much. They're trying to ignore the story and hope it goes away. But privately, according to reports, some are frustrated, They're tired of having to defend Trump for things that have nothing to do with policy. They're tired of the constant drama. They're tired of viral moments that make the party look bad. And they're wondering whether the Trump brand of politics, which relies so heavily on his personality and his instincts, is sustainable long-term. Because if Trump can't even get through a routine diplomatic ceremony without creating controversy, what does that say about his ability to lead effectively? And let's talk about what this means for Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA, because that organization is in a delicate position right now. Charlie Kirk built it into a powerhouse of conservative youth activism, but now he's gone. And Erica is trying to fill his shoes. She's trying to prove she can lead. She's trying to maintain the organization's influence and relevance. And this viral scandal, even though it's not her fault, complicates that mission. Because now, when people think of Erica Kirk, some of them will think of this Oval Office moment rather than her work or her leadership. And that's unfortunate, that's unfair. But that's the reality of living in a viral media environment where moments like this can define you regardless of your actual accomplishments or intentions. So where does this leave us? Well, Trump is once again the subject of viral controversy. The clips are everywhere. The commentary is relentless. And his opponents are using this moment to reinforce negative narratives about him. His defenders are trying to dismiss it as manufactured outrage, and Erica Kirk is caught in the middle, trying to navigate grief, leadership responsibilities, and unwanted media attention all at once. This story might fade in a few days as the news cycle moves on, or it might have staying power, becoming another example that gets brought up whenever Trump's behavior is questioned. Either way, it's yet another self-inflicted wound for a presidency that can't seem to avoid controversy no matter how hard some people around Trump try to keep things on track. Okay, let's break this whole scandal down into clear points so we understand exactly what happened and why it matters. Point 1, what actually occurred at the ceremony. On November 10th, 2025, during Sergio Gore's swearing in as U.S. ambassador to India, Trump publicly hugged and kissed Erica Kirk, the widow of assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The gesture was captured on camera from multiple angles, and based on the footage and witness accounts, it made people in the room uncomfortable. The hug lasted longer than expected, the kiss seemed awkward, and the overall optics were bad enough that the moment immediately went viral once clips hit social media. Point 2, the social media explosion. Within hours, clips of the moment were trending across Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Reddit. We're talking millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments, viral reaction videos, memes, the works. And the commentary was overwhelmingly negative, with people calling Trump's gesture inappropriate, bizarre, and tone-deaf. Even some conservatives who generally support Trump were saying this was a bad look. The controversy became one of the top trending topics online and dominated news coverage for days. Point 3, who Erica Kirk is and why this matters. Erica Kirk isn't just any widow. She's the widow of Charlie Kirk, a major figure in conservative politics who founded Turning Point USA and was assassinated in September 2025. She's now the CEO of TPUSA, trying to honor her husband's legacy while also grieving and raising their children. She's in an incredibly vulnerable position, and this viral scandal, which she didn't ask for and had no control over, has made her situation even more difficult. She's being analyzed and discussed and memed when she should be allowed to mourn and move forward with her life and work. Point 4, the broader pattern of Trump's behavior. This isn't the first time Trump's personal conduct has raised eyebrows. He has a long history of moments where critics say he doesn't understand boundaries or appropriate behavior. And while this specific incident might seem relatively minor, it fits into a larger pattern that reinforces negative perceptions about Trump. Every time something like this happens, it confirms what his opponents already believe about him, and it makes it harder for his defenders to dismiss the more serious allegations that have been made over the years. Point 5, the political damage. Trump is already dealing with serious legal troubles, congressional investigations, and approval ratings that are underwater with everyone except his base. He doesn't need additional controversies, especially not self-inflicted ones that dominate news cycles and distract from whatever policy agenda he's trying to push. But that's exactly what this Oval Office moment has become. Another viral scandal that makes him look bad and gives his opponents ammunition. And it's particularly damaging because it's not about ideology or policy disagreements. It's about basic judgment and decorum. things that even many Trump supporters would prefer he handle better. So what are the realistic outcomes here? Let's think through the possibilities. First, this story could fade quickly. News cycles move fast. Something else could happen that captures public attention, and in a week or two, most people might forget about this awkward Oval Office moment. That's the best case scenario for Trump. The controversy dies down with minimal lasting damage. Second, this could have staying power as one more example in a long list of Trump controversies. Opponents will reference it whenever they want to make a point about Trump's lack of presidential bearing. It'll show up in campaign ads. It'll be cited in opinion pieces. It'll become part of the catalog of Trump moments that critics point to when arguing he's unfit for office. That's the more likely scenario, where this doesn't dominate headlines for long but becomes part of the permanent record of Trump's questionable behavior. Third, this could actually hurt Trump politically in ways that are hard to measure, because scandals like this, even relatively minor ones, they chip away at public perception. They make people uncomfortable. They remind voters of why they have reservations about Trump. And they make it harder for him to expand his support beyond his core base every awkward moment, every viral controversy, every incident where people shake their heads and say that was inappropriate. It adds up. It creates a cumulative effect that makes Trump look less presidential and less competent. Fourth, this could complicate Trump's relationship with the conservative movement. Erica Kirk is now a major figure in that movement as CEO of Turning Point USA. And if she feels that Trump's gesture was inappropriate, or that he's created unnecessary problems for her that could strain relationships, TPUSA is an important organization for conservative youth activism, and Trump needs those kinds of groups on his side. If this scandal creates any distance or awkwardness between Trump and the Kirk legacy, that's a political problem for him. Now let's talk about what this reveals about Trump's biggest weakness as a politician. It's not his policies. It's not his ideology. It's his inability to avoid self-inflicted wounds. Trump has an amazing ability to survive scandals that would destroy other politicians, but he also has an amazing ability to create scandals that never needed to happen. This Oval Office moment is a perfect example. All he had to do was shake Erica Kirk's hand, maybe a brief, respectful hug, thank her for her words, and move on. Simple, professional, appropriate. But instead, he made it weird. He made it uncomfortable. He created a viral moment that reflects poorly on him, and he did it for no good reason. There was nothing to gain from that gesture. No political benefit, no strategic advantage. Just Trump being Trump, operating on instinct without thinking about consequences. And that's the pattern that worries even some of Trump's supporters, because if he can't navigate a simple ceremonial event without creating controversy, how can he be trusted to navigate complex diplomatic situations? How can he be trusted to handle delicate negotiations? How can he be trusted to represent the country on the world stage? These are questions that independents and swing voters ask. And moments like this reinforce their doubts. Let's also consider the impact on Erica Kirk specifically. She's trying to establish herself as a serious leader in the conservative movement. She's trying to prove she can run TPUSA effectively. She's trying to honor Charlie's memory while also charting her own path. And this scandal makes all of that harder because now, whenever people search for information about Erica Kirk, this viral moment is going to come up. It's going to be part of her story, whether she likes it or not. And that's deeply unfair to her. She didn't do anything wrong. She gave a heartfelt speech honoring her late husband. And somehow she ended up at the center of a controversy because of Trump's behavior. That has to be frustrating. And it has to make her wonder whether associating with Trump is worth the constant drama and scrutiny. There's also the broader question of how the Republican Party handles Trump going forward, because moments like this, they're exhausting for party officials and elected Republicans. They have to answer questions about it. They have to decide whether to defend Trump or stay silent. They have to watch as another news cycle gets dominated by Trump drama rather than the policy issues they want to discuss. And at some point, some Republicans are going to say enough is enough. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep explaining away every awkward moment and every viral controversy. We need to move on from Trump and find leaders who can represent conservative values without all the baggage. That conversation is already happening in some Republican circles. And moments like this Oval Office scandal just intensify it. So here's the bottom line. Trump got caught in a viral scandal after an awkward interaction with Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow. At an Oval Office ceremony, the moment was captured on camera. It made people uncomfortable. It exploded on social media. And it's now being used as another example of Trump's lack of judgment and appropriate behavior Erica Kirk is unfairly caught in the middle of this controversy while trying to grieve and lead TPUSA. Trump's defenders are trying to dismiss it as manufactured outrage. His critics are using it to reinforce negative narratives about him. And once again, Trump has created a self-inflicted wound that distracts from whatever else he's trying to accomplish. This might fade quickly, or it might have staying power. But either way, it's another entry in the long catalog of Trump controversies that make people uncomfortable and question his fitness for office. Stay tuned. Subscribe. Hit that bell. Because with Trump, there's always another scandal around the corner, and you're going to want to be informed when the next one drops. This Oval Office moment might seem relatively minor compared to everything else Trump is dealing with, but these little moments add up. They shape perception, they influence voters, and they could ultimately determine Trump's political fate. So pay attention, because in the age of viral media, a single awkward moment can become a defining scandal overnight.